You don't need IELTS to register in any of the states that I'm going to be mentioning in this video. The process of becoming a registered nurse in the United States can be complicated and frustrating for a lot of people, but these states actually make it a lot easier for internationally trained nurses. However, some people might be confused and even worried because maybe they are not comfortable with any of the states. But I'm going to be explaining how you can actually make this work for you. So you want to watch this to the very end. Number one is Montana. So Montana is one of the best places to work as a nurse. I think they ranked 8 recently. One thing with Montana is that they don't require social security number and they do not require an English proficiency exam like IELTS and TOEFL IBTC for you to register, write the NCLEX and become a USRN. However, some people might be worried that maybe because of the weather condition in Montana or they don't know anybody there, they might not be able to use this particular state. But like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to explain to you how you can pick the right state and actually make it work for you. Number 2 is South Dakota. So South Dakota is another great place to register as a nurse in the United States. And the beautiful thing about this place is that their cost of living is actually below the national average, which is really cool. So this is a state you might want to consider because they also do not require IELTS for you to be able to register and write your NCLEX RN exam and become a USRN. So you want to consider South Dakota if you want to register as a nurse in the United States from overseas. Number 3 is New York. New York is a beautiful place that a lot of people find actually attractive because it is easy to get a job there, considering the fact that it's a big city. They also pay well, and a lot of people want to do travel nursing to New York. New York is really enticing to so many people. However, the cost of living is also high, but the good thing is that they do not require an English proficiency exam when you want to register and become a nurse in the United States. Number 4 is Northern Mariana Island. This particular one is not very popular, but it's actually a good place as well to become a registered nurse in the United States. They do not require IELTS and is known for its beautiful beaches and maybe a more rural-like state. And if you enjoy some of those things, then you want to consider the states when you want to register as a nurse. The number 5 on my list is Connecticut. I hope I pronounced that right, but I really love the fact that they also make it easier for internationally trained nurses. You do not require IELTS in the beginning if you want to get your license in the United States. So Connecticut is one of those states that you want to consider as well. Number 6 and my very favorite one is Missouri. Missouri is also another state to consider when you want to become a registered nurse in the United States. They are known to pay nurses really well, so they have several percentage above the national average, which is really cool. So Missouri, even though you can actually become a registered nurse here without writing IELTS, this is not for everybody, unfortunately. There are places that you can come from and they will not require IELTS from you, such as Jamaica, Barbados, United Kingdom, Ireland, Trinidad and Tobago, and a few others. So I've not really seen any African country included in their list, so you want to check that out. But Missouri is definitely a great place as well to consider, depending on your country as well. Number 7 on my list is the state of Indiana. So Indiana is also another beautiful state that a lot of international nurses actually aspire to work. So Indiana is great, is a great state to get your license as an internationally trained nurse. They also do not require IELTS, especially if you studied with English and you can provide like your transcript, everything that you studied with English language. You may not need IELTS in the state of Indiana. Number 8 on my list is Virginia. So Virginia is also an interesting place to become a registered nurse in the US. So if your nursing program was taught in English language, then this is a state you want to consider. So you can become a registered nurse in this state without providing proof of English proficiency in the form of IELTS or TOEFL IBTC. Once you are able to prove that your nursing program was done in English, then you don't need IELTS to register as a nurse here. So Virginia is definitely somewhere that you want to consider. And just to mention that a lot of international nurses actually love the state of Virginia. I know a lot of people that live there, and I've not heard a lot of complaints. So definitely consider these states, especially if you know you studied in English language. Number 9 and the very last on this list is Kentucky. Kentucky is also another state in the United States you want to consider if you want to become a registered nurse in the United States. They also do not require IELTS in the beginning if your nursing program was taught in English. So Kentucky is definitely another internationally trained nurses friendly, if I must say that. So this is another state that you want to consider if you want to become a registered nurse in the United States. While you have this list, there are 3 main things I recommend that people consider when they are picking or when they are choosing a state to get licensed in the United States. The number 1 is this IELTS that we have talked about. The second one is the compact license. So depending on your nursing goal and career, if you want to become maybe a travel nurse in the future or something like that, and you may want to consider a state that is also a compact state, that is, you get one license and you're able to practice in other states. I know that a lot of nurses find it very, very useful, and some jobs, like if eventually you are interested in work from home opportunities, they usually ask for compact license. So if you're someone that wants to just move once and for all without going to another state, so in the beginning, you may want to consider 1, a state that does not require IELTS if that is something that you don't have, 2, a state that is also a compact license, and number 3 that I usually recommend is that state as well is easy to process your documents. Because I remember during my own time, the agency I use will always say, oh, we usually have problem with this state, we usually have a problem with that state, but this particular state, it has all been smooth for our internationally trained nurses. So they will go with states that they find it easy to communicate with, that the process is a lot like more smooth, not complicated. So those are the 3 things that you want to consider. And someone will be asking, okay, how do we know a state that is faster and easier? So one thing is that asking questions, belonging to a group, asking others, which states did you use? The common state that I know a lot of people go to Texas, a lot of people Indiana. I used Colorado. I feel like it was fast. A lot of people use some states. So speaking to other nurses makes it easier for you to actually pick a state. One thing that you need to know is that at the end of the day, once you become a USRN, you may end up not getting a job in that particular state where you have license, and then you will have to endorse in another state. So I think from the very beginning, picking the state that will help you to at least process your document, write your NCLEX, is actually what matters, because at the end of the day, once you get your license to practice in the United States, the process of endorsing actually is faster and easier, so you can get a job anywhere in the US and then endorse in that state. And I hope you found this video helpful. If this is complicated for you, remember that I have a guide you can actually buy here on YouTube, the e-copy. I would also prefer if you can get the hard copy from Amazon, because that way you can make a note. On this book, there is actually checklist that you can use in the back, and seeing the book physically in your bookshelf and on your table can actually remind you that this is something that you can do, rather than having an e-copy. Maybe some people will buy books and they'll forget about it. So maybe having a paperback at home will motivate you to go back and actually make your dream of working in the United States a reality. So get this book if you still do not have one, and please share this video